Hey guys, what's up? It's been a really long time since I've made a video. I'm sorry about that. I've been extremely busy, but I did want to mention one thing is that right now MCDSP is having a sale up until the 30th. I know it's kind of late in the month to kind of be telling you guys this, but honestly, I use MCDSP plugins all over the place. I pay for them all and I do not get anything for saying that they're awesome, but they are awesome. And if you really like plugins like that are clean and really versatile, but still have like an analog style vibe or feel to them, I would really highly recommend demoing them and going to websites like JRR Shop or Audio Deluxe, because I got this for I think like 70 bucks. And normally I think half off it's like 86 or something right now. So you can get a bigger discount going on another site like that. But anyway, today what I'm talking about is the Channel G, which is my newest plugin that I bought. And since MCDSP is version 6 now, all of their stuff is VST now. So this is cool because now I can use this in Studio One because I've been doing lots of stuff in Studio One lately. And, you know, this is just a session that I had done in Pro Tools, so I'm in Pro Tools today. This is also the first time I'm going to be using the actual capture software that came with my, I'll show you, the capture software that came with my Studio Live. So we're going to see how the audio quality comes out being recorded through this thing. So what I want to just do a quick little talk about is the features of the MCDSP Channel G, which I think is an amazing plugin. So this is first and foremost a channel strip, but it also emulates the compression section, the curves, and the attack and release ranges of certain compressors used in consoles and stuff like that. They also emulate the EQ curves of classic analog consoles, from the SSL E series to the G series to a Neve AMAC kind of like hybrid, which is really cool. And then the API, I think it's a 550 EQ. And a cool thing that they do with the API is since the API didn't have those Q values, you can't actually change the Q values on this when you go into the API mode. And it's very broad like a real API is, which is really cool. Also, one thing I do notice, which I really like, is they actually limit the values that you can change. So like on the SSL right here, as you can see, we can only go so far. But on the Neve, it changes completely on like how far you can go and how wide it is. If you go into post-production, you can go pretty much almost completely throughout the spectrum, and you can get really tight Q, whereas the Neve, the tightest Q is pretty broad. Again, and then the API is wide and stuff like that. Oh, my bad. Anyway, I really like this feature. I think it's really cool. It's a great way of giving me an analog style vibe of like reminding me how I used to mix when I was using a console. And also, a really cool thing is that the filters actually change their limitations depending on the console that you choose. So that's really cool. The filters, the low and high pass filters, go from 6 dB octave to 24. They also come with a really useful notch filter, which has 4 variable Qs, which is really cool. These can go throughout the entire spectrum when you're on music or post mode, which means that you can really find anything that just is nasty and take it out. Something I really like about the high filters is that the Q values can kind of change the slope. How this has like kind of like a really smooth bump and then like a little dip in post-production, where music mode is more like a more abrupt kind of like bump up, then it's like just flat, and then it kind of smooths just a tiny little nudge depending on the cue that you choose, all the way from really smooth. Now when you go into the SSL E channel, it's really smooth and kind of like curved, like really gently. But then you go into the G and you notice a slight change right there because the G channel had a slight change in their curve. When the Neve is more abrupt and more like, you can really hear it. The API is Q value so super wide that it just goes way beyond whatever frequency you chose. I'm at 80 hertz, and 80 hertz is all the way down here, which is pretty cool. So basically they all have their own shape and tone and sound to them. This is great for if you have like, when I wanted to mix through a console, I use, like Slate's VMR or Slate's, actually I use Slate's like VCC because I own that. I can choose the console that I want to use, like the Brit N, so Neve, and then I could use the then I can use the Neve filters, right, to kind of like get a Neve sound. Another cool feature is if you go into its dynamics section, you have an expander gate that actually sounds very musical. It's extremely good. I love the dynamics section on this thing. Where am I dipping? There we go. Anyway, so when you click on the dynamics section, you have an expander gate, which can be its input, key through a sidechain, or filtered. The cool thing that I love about the filters on the dynamics section, though, is that they can be inline. So you can have a second set of filters. So let's say you want to high and low pass something and notch things out. Oh, by the way, these can be notches too. These are also notches. You can use your high and low pass filter, and these are the exact same function as the ones on the EQ section. So you can like filter things out, and then you can notch something else out. So you basically, in turn, you have up to, I guess about like 10, no, like what? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You have 8, 9 filter bands in total, which is pretty cool. My math is probably off on that. A cool thing is that this can filter either the input or the sidechain. This can be inline or just as a kind of like a filtered sidechain input. One really cool thing that I love about the dynamics section though is that when you go into the compressor, you can change the actual knee of it. You have from hard all the way to about 100, which is really cool. So you can get really soft. But also once you start hitting past 100, you start going into different consoles. And if you actually look at the Q value of the actual slope on the filters, it changes. And depending on the console, like now the A hard and the A soft is a API. So it's really, really gentle, really, really broad. Cool thing too is also you no longer have control over the Q value because you're emulating a console. And like the other EQ section, it limits the bandwidth which you have. I actually find that the attack and release times of the compressor limiter section when you're doing the console emulations are pretty spot on. You might not have the analog saturation that like, the UAD does when they make their consoles, but you have the sound. And a really cool thing is that this compressor section has input key from a sidechain, the filtered sidechain, or feedback compression, which basically loops itself back and it listens to its output. And I noticed that the compression is kind of softer. It can kind of pump sometimes too, but it's more like a natural sounding thing. It reminds me kind of like using like an old style compressor. Like it's really nice. It's really cool. It just kind of like, it's more gradual. And I find it's even at a really fast attack times, it can kind of reduce that sound of just really heavy just compression. And this can be done on every single mode of compression. So you can be doing a Neve 33609, which is the Brit, and you can like being the fastest attack and the slowest release and then put into feedback compression, and it sounds completely different than when it was feed forward compression. I'm assuming it has the feedback compression because it also emulates the APIs, and they did have a feedback compression section. If you go up here, you have a really cool little, a signal flow chart, and basically when you click on stuff, it'll change. So you can see like on the compressor section, it's inline and it's just listening to its input. So you have the little input. The key goes into the external sidechain, so you can see a little thing. The filter listens to the filter, and when you go into feedback, its own output feeds into its input. The filters like that, you can see that they're sidechain externally, they're in, or they're inline, which means now that the output is going here. And then cool, same thing with this expander gate. When you turn it on, you can see that it's now affecting the signal. When I turn the equalizer on, you can see which bands are now affecting the signal path, which is really cool. This is a great way of just like understanding signal path, or you can actually just see what's going on. I guess that's about it. There's really not much to talk about. If you guys want, I can easily do some demonstrations, maybe in another video about how it works and how it sounds. I think it sounds great actually. And a cool thing about the version 6 stuff now is you have all these artist presets, and I am not joking. This folder right here has like literally been used all over this session, everywhere. I pretty much use this folder right here. They have so many names and stuff, and I'm like, oh, I want a filtered sound or like a really gritty lo-fi sound. It's like, oh look, boom, lo-fi. When I check the graph, like I mess with it, sounds perfect, or I might tweak a little bit, maybe add a little bit of like, I don't know, that for some random reason, and then filter this out, just do some random stuff. And it sounds really good. These filters are really smooth. I don't hear like that crazy, like annoying, like whoosh sound when you like kind of move them along like really quickly. Also, I've noticed that the automation, when you automate the filters, it's super clean and smooth. Like the stock Pro Tools one, sometimes when I bypass it or I move it, it kind of clicks a little bit. This, I don't get any of that, but that's also because Colin at MCDSP has worked really hard on doing like fixing issues like that. But yeah, demo this plugin if you're looking for a channel strip. I'm a channel strip whore. I have so many channel strip plugins. Like I literally have like the Metric Halo one. I have a bunch actually. I think if I just go through this, I have like a million of them. I wish FabFilter made a channel strip. That would be amazing. Anyway, check it out. Demo it if you like it. I would highly recommend buying it. I would highly recommend checking out any of their plugins, honestly. But this has definitely become my new flagship plugin to use. A cool thing that I might have forgot to mention is on the stereo channels, you have phase inverts for both left and right side. So you can actually see if something's wrong with your left or right side. On a mono instance, you still have a phase invert switch, which is cool. And yeah, that's it for today. Let me know if you guys want me to do like a long video or like a demonstration about this plugin or anything else. But yeah, definitely check out MCDSP plugins. They're on sale. Like I said, I'm only saying this because they're on sale and I use them every single day in every single mix. So if you guys are looking for like a really cool, clean, but like kind of like analog vibey channel strip, check this out. It's well worth the price. Also, Metric Halo is doing a sale right now, I think at JRR Shop or Audio Deluxe, where it's like $75 and you get their saturation plugin and their channel strip, which is also really good. I just find that I like the MCDSP's, the look and the style kind of like matches my workflow a little bit better, but this is also a fantastic channel strip. I use this all the time, and it has a limiter. Anyway, that's it for today. I know I rambled on, basically made no sense. Sorry about that. I'm really busy, so hopefully I can get this up today before hopefully I can get this up today. So See you later, guys. Thanks.